UFC Vegas 92, Themba Gorimbo versus Ramiz Brahimaj. And every time you see him since The Rock got him a house, he doesn't have to worry about the money anymore. He looks much bigger right now, too. I mean, this guy looks more filled out. He's starting to look like a big-time fighter. But, every fight he's going to face better and better competition. And this fight's obviously underway. He's just trying to feel out Ramiz Brahimaj, who shoots in for the takedown. Gorimbo gets low, digs the underhooks, nice takedown defense, and walks him back. Now Ramiz driving some knees. Themba blocks it, drives one of his own. And there's a little battle going on here against the fence. Ramiz spins Gorimbo around. And this is a thing you're going to see throughout this fight. It's going to be interesting as he pulls Gorimbo down, but Gorimbo ends up on top. Is that Ramiz Brahimaj is shorter than Gorimbo. He's going to shoot in for a lot of takedowns and look to gain control. But in this situation, it's actually Themba Gorimbo who gains control. Ramiz got the guard in, and Themba's just working his way back to the fence. As now he'll drive Brahimaj and his back into the fence. Brahimaj looks to stand up, and he does. And what I want to see is Gorimbo get off the fence, forget the control time right now, and just let him go and let's strike. Let's see what you got. And Gorimbo looking to pick him up and take him down. It didn't work. And Themba's got to answer some questions here. As he continues to win, again, he's going to face better and better competition. That's what Ramiz Brahimaj brings to the table. And he's got to show that he can win these fights. And not only win them, but win some like this in dramatic fashion with a big finish. 2:40 left in round one. And we haven't had much striking at all. This is just basically both guys spinning each other along the fence. And now Themba spins him. So guys are just really fighting for control, position along the fence. Not a lot of striking. It's all coming from clinch control. There's a big knee by Themba. And again, Ramiz gets the takedown with the leg, but Themba winds up on top because he maintains a good position up top. And it's amazing because Themba Gorimbo looks, 5 or 10 pounds bigger than he did before. And that just shows that he's building muscle. He's filling out and still able to drop down to 170 pounds. He's probably more like a middleweight, 180, 185, dropping down to 170 and back to 185 come fight time. So he's just looking stronger. And that looked like a low blow there with the knee. Got to be careful as he works the legs. And Ramiz digging the underhooks here. And it's amazing as you go up in these divisions. You see this more in the welterweight, right? And in the lightweight division, there's not going to be a whole lot of clinch control up against the fence. You'll see some, but you're either going to see takedowns or striking. Like the fight's either going to the ground or they're going to stand up and strike. You see a lot more control up against the fence in the welterweight division because you're dealing with bigger guys, a little slower, who are going to lean on each other. And that's pretty much what's happening right now. Themba's definitely taller too, so he's got to constantly lean down and get low. Especially right now when he's pinned up against the fence and he walks Ramiz right back around, and now Ramiz flips him. So we're just seeing the same thing Not a lot of action in this first round. And if these two guys split the next 2 rounds, who the heck knows who would win this fight? Because round one has been very slow paced so far. But Gorimbo's way ahead in significant strikes, 10-0. 2 head strikes, 8 body strikes, 322 of control. And Ramiz has been held to no significant strikes. That's incredible. You don't see that too often. So at the end of round one, if you're Ramiz's corner, you got to be telling him, forget the takedowns right now. Because both times you went for the takedown, Gorimbo ended up on top and you lost 2 minutes of the fight. Right? When you guys are pinned up against the fence, all that's happening is the clock is running. And Ramiz is losing the fight because of that. And if you're Themba's corner, you're saying, hey, good first round. Let's kind of see what happens in round two. You get a little gimme in round two. But at the same time, he's got to get something done. I mean, he's got to show some more. I mean, nobody's going to be happy with him grinding out a win like this. All it's going to do is force him to face another Ramiz Brahimaj or a guy on his level, if you understand what I'm saying. He's not going to move up the ladder with just close decision victories. And here we go with round two. And a nice up kick there for Themba to start it, followed by a leg strike. And that's what we want to see. We want to see Themba strike a little bit, but it's not happening. He's going to drive Ramiz back into the fence once again. And I guess they're just trying to make it hard on me to describe this fight today. Because when two guys are leaning on each other, there's not much to describe. First 30 seconds gone. Looks a lot like round one. And the only thing I can say for Themba's side is that he's totally limiting Ramiz, who cannot land significant strikes when you got a guy leaning on your chest and your back is against the fence. I mean, you're just not going to land many significant strikes. So you can look at it like Themba's really protected himself, playing defense, and scoring just enough to get round one. And the Apex Center is quiet right now. You don't see a lot of people in there for this one. Of course, there's still people there, and they talked about this throughout the week. This will be one of the topics we'll get into during the break. Is that Dana White saying they're getting out of the Apex, right? It's time to travel. It's time to get in the big arenas. You saw it last week with St. Louis. You got Louisville coming up. And it's just more exciting when you have the fans in attendance. No doubt about it. And all that's happening now is just Themba's just controlling the heck out of this fight and just not giving Ramiz any room to breathe. I mean, he's constantly on him. Fight goes to the ground. They stand back up. Themba walks him to the fence. Once in a while, Ramiz will flip it. Themba will flip it right back. And hard to describe, but basically Ramiz can't do anything. I mean, he has one significant strike right now. It's 19-1 and 57-16 overall total strikes. And you're seeing the big separation between total strikes and significant because there's a lot of clinch. Some of these strikes, the knees, the elbows, or whatever, are not significant. Now the ref telling him, Mark Smith don't play. He's getting in there telling him you got to pick it up. And Gorimbo moves all the way to a 21-1 favorite right now. And that's basically because people were watching this fight and saying, doesn't look like there's going to be a KO or submission or finish, but Ramiz has very little chance to win this fight at the rate that it's going. Themba continues to drive the knee. He's looking at the clock now and gives up a little bit of position while he did that. Now he's got his back against the fence. Again, Ramiz looking to take him down, but it hasn't gone well for him even when he has. Oh, and now Ramiz takes the back. And this is all stemming from him peeking up at the clock. He's going to learn his lesson here. But he is flipping it back around. Now he's going to be in top position. And he recovers well. Now he's got top position over Ramiz. And great ground game by Themba. This is something that will pay off as he climbs the ladder. A different style than Colby Covington, but much like Colby Covington in some fights that he wins and fights guys below him in the rankings, and he just controls the heck out of the fight. Just controls the heck out of the fight and doesn't give you any room to breathe. You can't stand and strike. He's going to have his head on your hip or in your chest the entire fight. I mean, Gorimbo's got 6:15 of control time as we approach the end of the second round, 10 minutes. So 2/3 of this fight, Gorimbo's been in control. Oh, a big elbow there by Gorimbo, and that's what I'm talking about. God, I would love to see him get the finish. But I don't think it's worth it for him to really go for it now. Look, he's trying to take the back. He does. Looking to get the rear locked in, but there's only 20 seconds left, and Ramiz is playing good enough defense. With Themba just dominating. He's going to hold this position and be right at 7 minutes of control time. That's 70% of the fight so far on 3 takedowns. Ramiz has had 1 on 2 minutes. So you got 9 minutes of control time out of 10 minutes. So there's not a lot of striking here. But Themba leads 27-1 in significant strikes. 67-16 in total strikes. He's easily up 2-0 right now. 2-0. Easy. And that just means you're going to get more of what you saw in the first 2 rounds, right? Because now his corner's looking at it like, hey, you're up 2-0. Keep doing what you're doing. People may not like it. It may not be exciting. But at the end of the day, you got to win, and that's what's most important. Yeah. So stay tuned. You got Chaos Williams coming up. That's a big fight as he takes on Carlston Harris. We're going to give you that prediction during the break, as well as some other hot topics this week, like Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. A lot of people weighing in on that topic. Dana White telling us that they're getting out of the Apex and they're traveling, some other topics, and then we'll finish that up with the prediction before we return. And when we return, it's fight time. That's how it works. Themba opening up a little bit here in the first 10 seconds, but I look for him to go right back in, and here he does, right away. Drives Ramiz back into the fence within 15 seconds. And it's not exciting, you know? I mean, Themba's got a big enough name because The Rock got him a house. So he's trending. People are looking him up. They want to know more about him, you know? But he's not winning in an exciting way. But if this continues, which there's no reason to believe it won't unless something crazy happens, he's just going to grind out a victory here. And it's just crazy. I mean, he's just pulling away insignificant strikes, 38-1. I mean, it's unreal. Just continues to dominate, maintaining control. Nearly 8 minutes of control time. That's easily over half the fight. But now Ramiz flips him. And you got Gorimbo taking a deep breath. He's looking at the clock. Mark Smith jumping in again, saying, let's go. Y'all got to fight. And they just continue to spin each other around. It's like a dance, you know? Gorimbo drives a left knee, now a right knee to the body. And Ramiz just in all types of trouble here. He's got to be drained. Gorimbo every now and then driving another knee. And how many body strikes is that? 33 to 1. It's crazy. It doesn't look like much is happening until you look at the stats. 104 to 17 for Gorimbo. Dominant fashion. 43 to 1 significant strikes. Head strikes just 6 to 0. So you're not seeing a lot of that. Body strikes 35 to 1. And if Ramiz Brahimaj was able to get loose and land head strikes, sometimes that'll pay off for you despite the control time that you give up. But when you got one significant strike and it's not even a head strike, there's no way you're winning this fight. And Themba's just cruising to victory right now, just running out the clock. $97 to 15 in clinch strikes. Woo-wee. Under a minute here, round 3. And just a dominant performance here for Gorimbo. But eventually he's going to face guys that have good takedown defense, who can get you off of him, and he's going to have to show that he can stand and strike. But right now against these weaker opponents, he's just showing that I can just take a guy completely apart and just take him out of the fight. And again, Colby has done this. Other guys have done this in the welterweight division. Might not be as exciting right now for Gorimbo, but when you look at the stats of Ramiz, it's just ridiculous. I mean, he's got nothing. Absolutely nothing. And they're describing this as a strong showing. Yeah, you can't say it isn't. It's not the excitement that people want to see. But as this clock runs out to end the fight, Themba Gorimbo absolutely dominated. 30 to 27. As he looks at the matchmakers who give him a thumbs up, but they all know it wasn't exciting. The bottom line is, he already has the big name, so that's not going to hurt him. The guy's 13 and 4, and he's looking better and better. He's looking more like a professional MMA fighter should look over the last 2 to 3 fights. So he's going to get the win here. Welterweight division, dominant fashion at UFC Vegas 92.